Yeah. All right, this next comedian just got done with his own tour, The Condescending Hebrew. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Rose!
What's going on, Asheville? Yes. My name is Max Rose, but I have a bit of a confession. That's not my full name. My full name is Max Rosenblum. But I started going by Max Rose in comedy because I was tired of comedy hosts mispronouncing my last name all the goddamn time. It was Rosenbaum, Rosenblum, Greenberg, Feynman, Ariel Sharon. So it's Max Rose. I've always had an awkward body. Had to grow into it, but it was not good. Grew up with an awkward body. It was at its peak awfulness. When I was 16 years old, I was a sophomore in high school at the exact same time. I had braces, glasses, and a back brace. Or as I call it, the Holy Trinity of Virginity. It was... Picture it. It's difficult to compete with the jocks when you look like Harry Potter here, RoboCop here, Gumby here. Not a good... Everyone's like, why is this weird kid Max always wearing sweaters in the summer? It's because I'm wearing a sex shield, Amber, okay? Stop asking questions. But things turned around for me. I'm in a relationship now. All right. Yeah. I'm in a relationship, but I don't even really understand how relationships work. Because in order to have a relationship, you need to have two people who like each other. And I'm very analytical. Like, I think in math, and I think, like, mathematically, that sounds impossible. Right? Because in the grand scheme of things, most people like very few people. And if you're sitting out here tonight and you're looking at me and you're thinking, Max, that's not true. I like everyone. That's because nobody likes you. Sorry, just a bummer to hang out with. But yeah, I'm in this relationship, and the hardest part about a relationship for me is getting used to the other person's quirks that you can't change. You know, when you meet someone, you're like, oh, you do that with your feet? Okay, well, we'll figure it out. In my relationship, the thing that I had to get used to is my girlfriend doesn't eat vegetables. Yeah. When she first told me that, I was floored. I didn't know you could do that. My parents lied to me. My parents told me that if I didn't eat all my vegetables, there would only be 4 nights of Hanukkah. Mm-hmm. I ate all the cauliflower because I wanted 8 crazy nights. I remember the moment that I found this out. It was early on in our dating, and I had her over for dinner, and I made a salad as part of our meal, and I put it on the table, and she gave it this weird look, a real Ron Swanson face. And she said, I don't eat that shit. That's rabbit food. That was her argument. Which is silly, because if you think about all the qualities of a rabbit, they're cute, they're cuddly, they like to fuck, all great qualities in a good girlfriend. So eat up, Thumper. They're not called Playboy Badgers, if you know what I mean. So, I'm living my best Rogaine life. Anybody else slowly trying to evade reality with a toxic foam? I'm worried about it. Every man in my dad's side of my family is bald. Every man on my mom's side of the family is bald. And so I didn't want it to sneak up on my girlfriend. So before I started doing the Rogaine, and I went up to her, and I said, "Hey, babe, if I were to go bald, which would you prefer me to wear? A toupee or a visor?" I wanted to give her an option. She said, neither. Instead, couldn't you just wear one of those Jew hats, you guys? She called it a Jew hat, which is equal parts offensive and non-creative. Like, I don't know a lot about feminine hygiene, but when she's complaining to me about her period, I don't go, "Couldn't you just use one of those? What are they called? Vagina blocker? Could you use one of those?" No, I know what it's called. It's a tampon. Or alternatively, my high school nickname, Maxi Pad. Not chosen. Did not choose that one. So, yeah, I'm worried about losing my hair, but more importantly, I'm worried about the general future. I see the news a lot. They always try to give you a story every once in a while to make you feel good about what's going to happen. But I'm a pessimist. I see right through that. It's just a smokescreen. Like, I was watching the news recently. They had a story that said by the year 2035, less than 20 years from now, the average life expectancy for an American will be 90 years old. We're all going to live longer. I'm not excited for that. So we're all going to live longer, right? But there's not going to be like a financial security net or pension system for my generation to fall back on when I do get to that age. So now I'm sitting there watching the news in a panic, thinking, how is living until I'm 90 going to help me when I'm 82, still working, eating top ramen every night for dinner, making the last payment on my student loans, and trying to keep the wolves from nipping at my dead leg. How is that going to help? But I do think it's cool that medical advancements might allow me to live to the year 21-24, you know? When the Chicago Cubs next win the World Series, I think. I just want it for the family story. I want to be sitting in my living room with my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren who were adopted from Apple. When I look at them, I want to say, you know, kids, I remember when the Chicago Cubs first broke their 108-year curse against the Cleveland Indians back in 2016. Except here's the problem, in the future, can't even say the word Indians because that's offensive. Yeah, I'm gonna get called out by my 7X grandchildren for using the word mascot, because in the future, dressing up as anything will be cultural appropriation. And that will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the Huffington Post. Thank you, Asheville, for laughing at that one. So I'm not a full-time comedian, sorry to disappoint you. Still gotta work to keep this hair on my head. But I might have to quit my current job. I work at a Jewish nonprofit. And I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but just roll with me, that's not the point. That was a cheap shot. I'm worried I'm gonna have to quit my job because I said something that triggered a coworker. I'm worried they're gonna fire me. Like, I was having a conversation with my coworker Sarah, and I was explaining to her how my roommate owed me money for the bills, but he hadn't paid me that money. So in my frustration, I said, yeah, my roommate, he's really gypping me out of money. Sarah gasped. Max, you can't say that. Because that word is offensive to gypsies. Mm-hmm. Did y'all know that? See, I had no idea we were considering gypsies' feelings at all, so that was new information. But I'm not an asshole. I don't ever want to offend someone just for the sake of offending them. So I looked at her and I said, I am so sorry. I will never say that word again. But what you need to understand is that my roommate is Jewing me out of money. Does that sound better? You like that? That dirty Gentile is Jewing me out of money. That joke cost me $100 and the ability to trust. You guys have been great, Asheville. Thank you so much.